Hello there, everybody. My name is Owen, and thank you so much for watching my presentation. The pitch deck I would like to present to you today is my original series entitled Bitters, a serial crime drama and black comedy. So, what is the personal connection of this project? Well, the title refers to bitters, an alcoholic infusion that is a key component in many cocktails. I was inspired to create the series based on the last year and a half of my life or so, balancing working late nights at different bars across the city in order to pay tuition while attending school full time. It felt as though I had a double life, and at times my work compounded a lot of stress for me, so I felt that it was important to share a story of someone struggling to make ends meet in the service industry in Toronto. So, what is our log line? A desperate bartender makes an uneasy agreement to work off his debts at a Loan Sharks nightclub, where he becomes implicated in a criminal conspiracy. In this statement, we have our main character, what they want, and how they're going to get it. Now, for some comparable shows, I've narrowed it down to five that are most similar in premise or in theme. These include the troubled service industry protagonist of The Bear, the dire circumstances and family drama of Ozark, the illicit businesses that are involved in Boardwalk Empire, the narcotic and hedonistic themes of Californication, and the bleak humor of examining vice that you find in a comedy such as BoJack Horseman. Now, I would like to introduce you to the world that this series takes place in, and some of the places where our characters are to be found on a recurring basis. So, downtown Toronto is where our universe is set, a contemporary metropolitan Toronto for context, with a particular focus on the service/slash hospitality industry and the downtown nightlife, especially in the context of post-COVID-19, in which bars and nightclubs are still recovering from financial ruin. Real issues of housing instability and proliferation of narcotics will be present throughout the series. The dive bar strip is where our protagonist finds himself at the beginning of the series and represents the humble beginnings of his career and his descent into his vices. The criminal run clubs are where he eventually finds himself. He feels that these clubs are an escape from his bills, from his past, from his hedonism, and he feels that he may actually be able to tap into his unused potential. Speaking of unused potential, our protagonist goes by the name of Derek Conover, and he feels at the end of his rope. Just a few months ago, he relapsed and nearly overdosed. He's trying to stay clean from drugs, but he still feels compelled to drink. He works most nights to keep himself occupied and away from his vices, and also to help get himself out of the debt that he has buried himself in. Overworked, his relationship with his girlfriend has spiraled into near ruin. Derek feels trapped. He's in debt, his relationship is failing, and he can hardly pay rent. He is more hopeless than ever until a character named Brian has a proposition for him. Brian is one of the main three supporting characters in the series, and I like to consider him to be the tempter or the seducer. He embodies temptation, serene and enigmatic. He still has a very shrouded business that he practices in and that he eventually manipulates Derek to become a part of. Evelyn is the pragmatist and the love interest of Derek, the primary one for this season. Evelyn is an intuitive leader, but she reluctantly permits Derek's bouts of indulgence. Her ambitions are becoming compromised, and she feels she needs to get herself out of this current life and predicament, and that includes shedding her relationship. Thomas is Derek's enabler. Though a very close friend, Thomas also used to work in bars with Derek for a very long time and has since cleaned up his act a little bit, but he still yearns for the amount of freedoms and lack of responsibilities Derek seems to revel in. Other supporting characters include Hugh, the bartender who shows Derek the ropes at the new nightclubs he works at, Demi, the general manager for the criminal conspiracy, Tristan, who is the bouncer, firm and reserved, but there's a solemn and distracted quality to him, deeply private, but still knows everything about everyone else, and Bridget, a regular associate of the bar who has taken a shine to Derek, but for unspecified motivations. Now, what challenges must our characters face? Derek finds solace working in a new, flashy nightclub. The clientele is high maintenance, the atmosphere is luxurious, and Derek can walk out each night with more money than he's ever made. He progressively becomes more comfortable at work. He is skilled at his job, and his bosses are pleased with him. His relationship with Evelyn and Thomas begin to improve, but there is one problem, and that is Derek knows far too much, having worked a bartender job at the criminal bar. And slowly, in order to stay employed, Derek must say yes to everything. In the process, his line of work becomes more twisted and perverse, and he slowly pieces together an organization that he is allowed to run his life. I wanted to leave this presentation with a quote by Charles Bukowski: "When you drank, the world was still out there, but for a moment it didn't have you by the throat." And I chose this quote because even though Bukowski is lauded as a brilliant literary figure, he was in fact a boorish and abusive alcoholic in his personal life. And I feel like this embodies a very real warning that Derek must heed before he continues or loses grip of himself. Thank you so much for listening to the presentation, and here's the list of works cited. I hope that you seriously choose Bitters for consideration. Thank you very much.